1, a 2, a 1.
It's time for the Better Horses radio show. So let's saddle up and ride as we explore the Western way of life, horses and cows, family and friends, a relationship with the land, and a relationship with God. It's all here on Better Horses Radio. Now let's hit the trails with the Better Horses team.
Welcome to Better Horses Radio. I'm Ed Adams.
And I'm Merle Arbo.
And we appreciate you joining us. We're going to talk all about horses and all about the exciting things that you can do in the equine industry. Merle, welcome aboard. And we're heading into fall. This is going to be a big show season.
Yeah, good to be here again, of course. And yeah, there's a lot of shows upcoming. There's a lot of big shows that are coming up. I know a lot of people are hustling to get their prospects ready.
Everybody's getting their horses legged up, getting them ready to do the final shows and all the championship shows. You're still judging a lot. Not only are you training, but you're judging quite a bit. There's a big transition between that, isn't it?
Yeah, there is. I really enjoy the judging, and the judging has really helped my training eye too. You know, like the more you understand the penalties and the penalty boxes and how things are sorted and judged, the better you can do it at presenting your horse. I feel like I missed it last week, but I know we need to take a minute to say happy birthday to Ed because he.
Thank you for bringing that up. That was, we'll have to edit that out of the radio show. So, well, for all those who don't care, it was my birthday and I am older, which means I had to get physically fit. But I got to tell you, Merle, good transition. We got a great show for everybody. And I want to tell you that we've got the legend, Dale Hendricks of Hendricks Performance Horses. He's located in Texas, and he's dedicated his entire 40-year industry about breeding, raising, and training reining horses.
We also have Scott and Shelley Rystrom on board. They together are Rystrom quarter horses, and they are start to finish full service breeding, training, and showing facility.
And, we're going to talk about a very sensitive topic with Scott and Shelley, and that's the relationship between the boarders and the boarding barn owners. And that's going to be something really to look out for. Yeah,
you're going to want to stay tuned to listen to that segment. I think that should be very informative.
Roger Daly of Roger Daly Horses, located also in Texas. Now he's turning top-notch horses into racing performance horses, but also putting them into barrel racing. He's just basically a world-class horseman. I'm really honored to have him on board. And you know what? We had to dig him up because he's not on social media. So if you want to get to know this guy, Roger Daly at Roger Daly Horses, you're going to have to stay on board for our last segment here on Better Horses.
He's a little old-fashioned in the sense he's just got a phone number, but that's all right. A lot of people know that phone number, know how to get a hold of Roger.
So let's satisfy our Better Cattle team that's out there. Everybody want to know what's going on in the cattle market. We're glad to have Mark Alpold here giving us an update. Mark, it's all yours.
Well, Ed, hope everybody had a great holiday weekend, a safe one, and we'll get underway here with a shortened week here. Looking at Better Cattle, I read something over the weekend I wanted to share with folks here today. This is from my friend Chris Swift. He owns Swift Trading. He's located in Brentwood, Tennessee. That's just outside of Nashville. And he appears regularly. I've talked to him many times on RFD TV in their Market Day Report. He made a comparison that the current live cattle market is like a volcano. He says, and this is quoting him pretty much here, while sleeping, it's a marvel to wonder. However, when it awakes, the volatile action of lava and gases create a lot of change. The cattle market has been sleeping on the way up, unconcerned with the rumblings deep below that forewarned of an impending explosion. And that explosion, he says, in the cattle market came with the recognition that beef production was going to increase. At the same time, cattle numbers were decreasing. He says this has created a very large explosion, formed new chart patterns, causing further exploration of what will settle that volcano back down. And he says, in my opinion, what we have seen is just the first of potentially multiple explosions. At the moment, the lava flow is slowing as we move to Labor Day, gases dissipating. If you think it's over with, then you can, quote, start climbing the volcano again and get active in the market. If you don't think it's over with, then use the current lull to position yourself in a manner that you can still see that volcano, see the action in the trade, but not close enough to get burned. He says, how do you do that? Well, you use the futures and options market to market or hedge the inventory you have at price levels that he says may or may not exist when it comes time to market those cattle. And that's Chris Swift. If you'd like to get in touch with him, he's with Swift. He owns Swift Trading, and his email is chris.swift@shootinthebull. That's SHOOTINTHEBULL, shootinthebull.com. Hopefully that's helpful information. I want to end here on a lighter note, much lighter note. My wife, Kathy, found this some time ago. A lot of traveling going on this weekend, and if you're traveling in the country, and you don't know where you're going or have to stop and ask directions, she found this. It's called Country Units of Measure. If you stop and ask someone for directions and they say, oh, that's right next door, that's about 1 to 2 minutes away. If they say it's just right up the road, you can count on 5 to 10 minutes. If they say it's a couple of miles, then figure 10 to 20 minutes. If they say, quote, that's not too far, 20 to 50 minutes. Now, they say that's a little ways, that'd be over an hour. And finally, if they tell you that that's a pretty good drive from here, you can count on about 2 hours. Country Units of Measure. Hey, have a great week, profitable week ahead.
Thanks, Mark. As everybody does predict, the cattle market industry is going to be really a kind of a wild ride here in the next 2 years.
Yes. Yeah.
So coming up and keeping it going with our horse tip of the week, very proud and honored to have our own Susie Arbo. Susie?
Hi there, horse lovers. This is Susie Arbo with your Better Horses tip of the day. Today, I want to talk to you about the importance of flexibility in your horse's routine. Just like us, our horses benefit from a well-rounded schedule that keeps them mentally engaged and physically fit. However, it's equally important to incorporate a bit of variety to prevent boredom and encourage adaptability. First, consider switching up your training environment. If you always ride in the same arena, try taking your horse out on a trail ride. This not only helps to stimulate their minds, but also exposes them to new sights and sounds, which is great for their confidence and overall demeanor. Next, vary the types of exercises you do. Mix up flat work with some light jumping, ground pulls, and even desensitization exercises. This keeps your horse's muscles engaged in different ways and prevents overuse injuries that can occur from repetitive movements. Finally, remember to listen to your horse. If they're showing signs of fatigue or disinterest, it might be time for a day off or maybe just a change in your routine. Flexibility in your training schedule ensures that your horse remains eager to work and helps build a strong, trusting partnership. So keep it fresh, keep it fun, and keep your horse thriving with a flexible routine. That's your tip of the day. Happy riding, everyone.
Thank you, Susie. And welcome to Better Horses. I want everybody to sit back, relax, and we've got a lot of great Better Horses information coming your way. I'm Ed Adams.
And I'm Merle Arbo.
And we'll be right back right after these messages.
Get quality you can stand on. Hoof Grip is the proprietary formula that provides shock absorption for your animals with no ice buildup, slipping, cracking, or sogginess, making it the safest, most comfortable, and maintenance-free flooring on the market. Hoof Grip installs quickly and easily over existing surfaces, is easy to clean, and withstands extreme heat or cold. From vet offices to barns, wash racks to trailers and more. Visit hoofgrip.com to find a dealer in your area today.
We're here for the hardworking, the resilient. We're for the people who measure their days by what needs to get done, not by hours. Where kids learn responsibility at a young age and generations work side by side. Where work doesn't pause for holidays or bad weather. It just gets harder. Where value and hard work means more than the clothes you wear. We're Kleinschmidt's Western Store, Higginsville, Missouri.
Routine dental examination and treatments are essential for high-quality horse care. To prevent potential problems, a horse's mouth should be examined at least once a year. I'm Dr. Chris Blevins, Equine Field Service Veterinarian at Kansas State University Veterinary Health Center. We can examine the mouth and provide a treatment plan to meet the needs of each client and their horse. Visit us at ksvhc.org, the Veterinary Health Center, to discover, to teach, to heal.
And welcome back to Better Horses. You know, Merle, one of the most exciting things we get about our job is bringing on some really great talent. And
Yes.
we have been able to fill that gap real easily with this guy coming in. Let me do a quick introduction with him. The guy's coming in is from Tiago, Texas. His name is Dale Hendricks. And Merle, I just got to tell you, this guy is a 5-time National Reigning Breeders' Classic champion. He's got multiple AQHA World Champion titles, NRHA Derby Reserve Champion. He was also Rider of the Year on the NRHA and also the United States Equestrian Team. He was an individual and team gold medalist, not to mention he was also on the World Equestrian Team. He's a $1 million rider, and Dale conducts several clinics each year and draws novices to professional riders to ride with him. I am very honored to have this guy on board. He's a professional horse trainer. Dale, welcome to Better Horses.
Thanks for having me.
So you are in Texas, and I got to tell you, you do a lot of breeding, raising, and training reining horses, but I'm more really fascinated with your background. You have literally been raised in Idaho, and you basically grew up with horses. We all know that, and pursued an interest in horses in college, graduated in 1992. And I think you graduated at Lamar College in Colorado, and you began training reining horses as an internship. So can you give us your background on how you've managed to maintain in this industry for that long?
Well, I just get out of bed every morning and step on a horse. I mean, that's all I've done for, 35 years, basically. And I trained solely reining horses for about 25 years. And about 10 years ago, I changed over and I train reined cow horses now. I had done everything in the reining world that I kind of wanted to do, and I was looking for a new challenge.
And that transition itself drew a lot of other people to watch you into those clinics. And talk to me about that transition.
Well, the transition, it started kind of lightheartedly. I was kind of playing with some things and had a good friend that was showing in the rein cow horse world. And I had a horse that kind of fit that deal. And I asked him if he would show it. We were doing reining on it and team roping and everything. And we wanted to do the AQHA super horse on this horse. And I got with Luke Jones, and we started kind of showing this horse, and it evolved into me showing some horses at the Snaffle Bit Fraternity. And the first few times I showed down the fence, I went, hey, this is the most fun thing I've ever done on a horse. I've got to go do this. And so I just jumped in with both feet, kind of left the reining horse world behind me and said, hey, I'm going to be good at this, and took off.
Well, Dale, that's very interesting. Hey, I was curious now, compared to reining horses, is there anything you look for different in a cow horse compared to when you're evaluating a prospect for reining?
Yeah, they're quite a bit different. We do the reining in the cow horse. We have to do a reining pattern and everything. But two of our events, the fence work and the herd work, are cow events. And so we need kind of an external horse for the cow horse, a horse that pays attention to things externally, outside of his world, and reacts to that. Whereas a reining horse, you want that horse to just listen to the rider solely. And that's the huge challenge to this. We do the reining pattern, so we got to teach them horses to slide and stop and spin and change leads. But then we got to give them a cow and say, okay, now you got to pay attention to that cow, and that cow is going to tell you when to stop and turn, when to go fast, when to slow down. Yeah. And that horse has to shift between rider and cow over and over again.
Interesting.
I'm fascinated by the training of that. How do you get started on that training? And when you're by yourself, as you mentioned, you get up in the morning, you get on a horse. Talk to me about your actual day-to-day training and moving those horses into the cattle world.
Well, I mean, we usually start our horses on the reining side of it. And as 2-year-olds, after we get them where they're done bucking us off and they'll kind of just go around, we start putting the reining maneuvers on them first. And then once we've kind of got them where we can handle them and we can pull them where we need to do, then we introduce them to the cow. And we teach them to follow that cow first. Wherever that cow goes, at whatever speed that cow goes, that horse is to follow them. And then we, after they get comfortable there, then we start showing that horse that now you can dictate where that cow goes. You can step out, you can get a little bit wide on that cow, you can go up to his eye and turn that cow, and then it becomes a really fun game for them to start controlling that cow. And then we show them where they can put that cow. And it's so exciting because you can just feel their confidence grow day after day, and they get excited. They come out and they want to play and do things with that cow. I mean, sometimes we got to really spend a lot of time to get them to relax and not play with that cow so much and be a little more accurate. But it's just a day after day of introducing them what to do and tightening that maneuver down over and over again.
You know, I want to move upstream a little bit more on your cold starting when you said you're first getting them on board. Now, you can get a lot of hits if you get bucked off on YouTube and Reels, because that's all we're seeing now. But that's not the goal, right? So when you're cold starting and you want it, and when I watch those videos, it's great entertainment, but that's not what the professionals are doing. So walk us through on how you get these guys started or get these horses started.
So when we start them colts, we put them in a round pen. It's about a 60-foot round pen. And we move them colts around with our bodies and our position and get those colts where they'll move away from us and come to us. And then we get them sacked out and get them saddled. And as we go through those progressions, you just have to read that horse's mind. And you can tell when they're going to buck. A horse should never buck when you step on him. If they buck, you skip steps when you are saddling him and getting him ready. So all of our colts, very seldom will they buck at all. They will only buck if you scare them. So we do everything in our power not to scare them and introduce everything to them slowly and show them that it's okay and they can have confidence in us as a rider.
Well, and Dale, I'm always interested when we have great horsemen like you on our show, and our listeners are always interested too. What's one piece of advice you've received over the years that has stuck with you and influenced your approach to training and competition?
Well, I mean, they're kind of two different fields. The training and the competition is two different fields. And probably one of the best pieces of advice anybody's ever given me is train at home, show at the competition. Don't train while you're trying to show, because they're two different things. And when we show a horse, it's an illusion. We do whatever it takes to make it look easy for that judge and those people watching. The less we do, the more we can hide how we're controlling that horse, the better our score is going to be. So you always gotta do all the stuff at home and do your homework at home. But then when you go to that show, you're a magician. You're creating an illusion for that judge and that audience to see.
And if you're just joining us, we're talking to Dale Hendricks, professional horse trainer over there at Hendricks Professional Performance Horses. Hey, Dale, you've also got your wife, Terry, and your son, Jimmy, also working and operating this, high quality training and showing operation. Talk to me, how's it going? How's it going as in the world-class breeding program, and also about your nutrition and your caring for the horses?
Man, it's going great here. I mean, Terry does everything for us outside of the horse. She does my schedule. She talks on the phone for me a lot. She does the billing. She organizes everything so that I can spend most of my time on the horse. And we've built up a great nutrition program. I've been sponsored by Purina for 30 years. And I think of Purina feed as a little bit like jet fuel. Jets don't fly on just regular gasoline. And so I have to have a really high quality feed in order to keep my horses going.
And you're talking about your clinics coming up. I think you're coming up to a couple of Snaffle Bit futurities that we have coming up in October. And where are you going from there?
Yeah, this last month before the Snaffle Bit futurity, this is the push. We've spent 2 years training these horses. So we're going to spend the next month schooling on them and getting them. We're going to some pre-works. I'll be down in Weatherford this week at a pre-work, and then in 2 weeks I'll be in Lubbock at a pre-work. And then we're going to the Snaffle Bit Futurity, and that's the show that we've been working on for 2 years. And so it's 3 weeks long, and it's a pressure cooker. You got to do 3 events. It's our life. I mean, we live for that 3 weeks every year.
That's unbelievable. And we're actually looking forward to watching you on there. Hey, if people wanted to get a hold of you or contact you within your clinics and just go to your show schedule, what's the best way to contact you?
Probably the best way is to get on Facebook and at Hendricks Performance Horses, Texas, and get a hold of us through there, and we'll get back with you and try to set up a time we can get together.
Boy, that's perfect. Well, I got to tell you, Dale, I really appreciate you coming on board. Looking forward to having another successful year, and really enjoyed you coming on Better Horses. Want to have you come back again if you got time.
You bet. Would love to do it.
Okay. And we're talking to Hendricks Performance Horses. That's going to be Dale, a professional horse trainer over there in Texas. And Merle, I got to tell you, this is something to strive for right there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's a legend, no doubt. If it can be won on a reining horse, he's done it.
We're going to have more Better Horses coming your way. I want you to stay with us. I'm Ed Adams.
And I'm Merle Arbo.
And we'll be right back right after these messages. And welcome back to Better Horses. Merle, I can't tell you, this is going to be an interesting topic. We're going to stay with the horse industry and how important it is, but we're going to get a little bit deep dive into exactly the care and custody of horses. And hey, everyone, this is a segment sponsored by Heritage Tractor. Now, if you're looking for new John Deere tractors in Kansas, Missouri, and Arkansas, I really highly recommend you talk to these guys on all your construction and lawn and garden needs. Go to heritagetractor.com. And Merle, our next guest, this is somebody you've worked with, and this is a highly professional team that we're having on board.
Yes, they are. But, for those of you that may not know Scott and Shelly, I want to introduce them to and do them justice. I mean, they're a powerhouse couple in the equestrian world, and together they've built a stellar reputation for their breeding program and producing top quality horses, and they combine their unique strengths. So I'd like to welcome Scott and Shelly Rystrom to the show.
Scott and Shelly Rystrom, welcome aboard to Better Horses. I'm going to kick this off if you guys don't mind, because we're going to start a topic here. Might be a little controversial, but we're going to talk about having our clients, and whether you're talking about a boarding barn or whether you're talking about having clinics or anything like that. We're going to really get into, Scott and Shelly, of what it's like to have boarders, and to steal a phrase from you, it's kind of a personal business, and sometimes things don't necessarily go as planned. Scott?
Yeah, thanks for having us on. Yeah, Merle and I visited a little briefly this morning about it, and I just said this is something none of us talk about other than just between ourselves, and it's happened to every single one of us. Like, you'll come home from a horse show and there's a horse missing in your barn, which throws everybody for a loop at the time. Like, what have I done wrong? What have I done right? And there might be nothing that you've done, but you don't know that. And I think the education needs to come in the clients, whether they're at a boarding facility or a training facility. It doesn't have to be a bad thing, because bottom line is, if you're a good trainer, a good manager of a boarding facility, you're doing your job. You want that horse to be happy first, and then you want the customer or the owner of that horse to be happy. And if they're not, whatever reasons it may be, it doesn't matter. Communication would be key in a situation like that, to where you don't ever have to worry about that bridge being burnt. So Merle made a good point this morning. He's like, if once they leave, if they leave on good terms, they might get somewhere and say, you know what, I really liked it back at Merle's better, or I fit better there with the rest of the clients, whatever it may be. It doesn't have to be a bad thing. But I think when people choose to pull their horse out in the middle of the night, not tell anybody, I don't know another business where you could do that. You can't drive down to your local mechanic shop and jump in a shop and take all the stuff out of there and leave without letting them know, So it's a deal, and it is very personal, because most of the time it's long-term people, and they become part of what we call a barn family. It's a group of people that support each other, and it doesn't only affect the trainer, it affects everyone else in that barn. Communication, Merle said, that's the key thing. None of us are monsters. We're not going to be mad when you go. We're going to wish you your best. I think people don't know how to gracefully get out.
Yeah. Well, and Ed and I have talked, and Shelley, maybe you can elaborate a little bit on this, is people, horse trainers, horse boarding facilities, people talk more than what you think they do. So if you leave, suspiciously, or maybe, not paying a bill or something, the next guy, if he gets the horse, should do some due diligence on that customer. I mean, not every time, you might not be getting the customer you think you're getting.
Yeah, I would agree on that point. I think Scott hit a good point. Like, this is a very personal business. We get very invested not only in the people, but the horses, whether it's the mares and the foals or on the training side when they're with us for so long. But I think the most important part is that bridge aspect. I've been preaching a lot to some of the kids in the barn, like the interns and stuff, that life is circular and you never want to burn a bridge because you never know when you're going to come back around to it. And the other side of that is when you leave a facility, whether you're going to choose to breed your mare somewhere else or take your horse, maybe you move across country and you need to find a different trainer, somebody closer to you. That person that's invested their time and their effort in you and your horse can help you on that journey. And I think that's the most important aspect of this, because all of us want the best for the horse. That is paramount to all of us.
And if you're just joining us, we're talking to Scott and Shelley Rystrom. They're at Rystrom Quarter Horses. Now, they start and they finish full service breeding, training, and showing facilities. We're talking about care and custody for boarding barns and training barns out there. And let's talk to it from a personal standpoint of, I have a horse, I'm at the boarding. Scott, to you, do you believe that they really don't have an appreciation of the cost and the amount of work and effort that we put towards these horses? And is it that the problem, or is it a case that they have a short-term line of thinking on how they want to take care of their horse?
Probably your latter. I mean, I think coming into it, they know what it costs. And I say I've surrounded myself with good people and good customers. It usually takes care of itself, but they want me to make money. They want me to be able to afford shavings, afford good feed for their horse, afford good help to take care of their animals. I think most times when people leave, it's either financial or personal life changes, whatever it may be, but they should understand that as long as they've told the truth, done their job as far as paying their bill and everything, there should be nothing that would be uncomfortable to talk about back and forth. The other thing I thought of, the horse industry is a very small world. Like, it's not just Merle and I that talk. He has a network of other trainers that he talks to. I have a network of trainers I talk to. When something bad happens to one of us, we share it with the other ones. Like, hey, this is a situation. I heard there might be coming to your barn. There's a few red flags, so it's not like anybody ever really gets away with anything, if that makes sense. They'd have been better off being forthcoming with whatever issues they had, and then everybody can still help everybody instead of it turning into a bad deal. So
I think you brought up a good point of a lot of barns talking to each other, sharing information. That's also done on the owner side of horses. They also look at reputations on the boarding barns. Absolutely. So we really can't hide on what we're doing on our operations. It is a lot easier to Merle's point, to understand who we're bringing into the barn and if it's a good fit. And this is really the educational part of the show is, to Merle's barn, to Scott, your barn, to my barn, it's all different type of atmosphere and different type of training program. So you got to pick a barn that's good for you and not necessarily just cost, or if I like this guy, is this a perfect fit for you? Scott, I'll throw it at you, Shelley, you throw it in there. Have you ever had somebody come into your barn and you just said, that's just not a good fit? How do you talk to them that way? And what's your first approach when that happens?
It's happened through the years. I like to think that we've got better about how we approach things. I'm taking stuff less personal than I used to, but I've asked people to leave the barn in uncomfortable financial times for myself and my wife. I said I had to make the decision. And usually when I did that, I just visited with people and I said, you need to find a better fit somewhere. But in a matter of a month, my barn was, those stalls were all full. I had better people. My barn was happier. And through that process, my customers, my long-term customers, they learn through the process themselves. If they see something that's not quite right or they don't like it, they share it with me right away. And usually a lot of stuff can work its way out that way. But just honest communication, and it didn't have to be a bad thing if I asked somebody to leave. I still want the best for that person and that horse. It's just not happening here in this group, in this farm family.
So Shelley, they say that the horses are easy, the people are tough. That's where it all starts. I think Merle and I all looking at each other said, yeah, that's the full thing.
Right.
Training and showing facilities, but you've got some boarders that just go over the top where they feel like there's something wrong, but you, with your knowledge and your background, and you've been doing this for so many years, the horse is fine. So one of those things, you have to educate the boarder along with explaining to them your barn is fine. However, you have to educate them, no, the horse is fine.
Right. And I think one thing that is lacking, Merle and Scott and I can all look at this with more years of experience than we'd like to admit to. Right. But with that, I wish we would have had some of this knowledge earlier in our careers to make some of these transitions smoother and easier on everybody. Because communication is not a skill you're born with. That is a lot of time and practice and screwing up and then trying to figure out how to do it better.
Yeah.
So I think for some of the, if there's some younger trainers or some, people that are younger or haven't quite figured how to do this out, it's give yourself a little bit of grace. We all screwed up and learned the tough way, but maybe reach out and ask how to do some of these things before you get yourself into trouble. If you need to leave a barn or if you're struggling with a customer, it's okay to reach out and ask those of us that have a few wrinkles to prove our time served.
Yeah. One thing just popped up that I think is kind of important. Like you asked the question, like people that are over the top a little bit as far as we're concerned about, it could be anything from fly sheets, fly masks, bell boots, this, that, or the other, or how often should I get my horse fed and all that. And I've always told people, or if they ask you, how many days a week do you ride my horse? How many hours a week do you ride my horse? And I said, through the years, I got confident enough with my training program. I said, you're buying a stall at my house and you're buying me as a professional to provide everything that your horse needs for whatever it is. And if that person does not respect me or trust me enough to let me do my job, that's probably a pretty good sign that this might not be a great fit for me or that customer, because they're trying to do my job for me, which makes it very hard for me to do my job.
Well said. Well said. So we've been talking to Scott and Shelley Rystrom at Rystrom Quarter Horses, talking about care and custody of horses and what it's like between the relationship between the boarder and the barn owner, and how important it is to have a proper communications and how important it is to respect on both sides of that process. But Scott, I'll steal this from you. It is a personal relationship. It's not a simple transaction between two parties. It is very much emotional, and we all do this because not only we do want to make money, but we also love it, and that's why a lot of us do it. So I want to thank Scott and Shelley Rystrom for joining us again. We'd love to have you back at Scott Rystrom's Quarter Horses. Check them out. They got a full service breeding program, a training program, and showing facility. Shelley, if they want to get a hold of you guys, what's the best way to get in contact with you?
You can find us on Facebook under our names, and also Scott Rystrom Quarter Horses, or you can Google us. We come up pretty fast.
And this is a topic I want to continue on, Merle. I think this is going to be something you and I are going to be talking about for a very long time.
Yeah, it's a very good topic to me. And it's interesting that we have these discussions like Scott and I said, but we don't talk openly. And this is a great place and great forum to do that.
And I want everybody to stay with us because we've got coming up Roger Daly Horses, and we're going to talk about nutrition and everything he does when he evolves his horses into breaking and showing horses. We're going to be having more Better Horses coming up. I'm Ed Adams.
And I'm Merle Arbo.
And we'll be right back right after these messages.
Hi, I'm Dr. Dylan Luter, a specialist in equine performance medicine at the Kansas State University Veterinary Health Center. Our new service focuses on lameness diagnosis, advanced imaging, physical therapy, and regenerative medicine for horses with injuries preventing them from performing at their best. We can treat a variety of conditions and design a customized rehabilitation plan to meet the needs of each client and their horse. Visit us at ksvhc.org, the Veterinary Health Center, to discover, to teach, to heal.
Hi, I'm Tommy with Heritage Tractor. Whether you're looking to maintain your yard or your whole ranching operation, Heritage Tractor has John Deere mower and tractor packages that make work fly by. With a variety of horsepower and attachment configurations, we have a package to best fit your needs and budget. To learn more about these exclusive packages, visit us in store or online at heritagetractor.com.
Legendary products, extraordinary service, that's our heritage.
Established in 1956, the Pinto Horse Association of America was formed to welcome all types of equines and maintain their show records and pedigrees. PTHA currently has over 88,000 members with 157,000 registered pintos. There are currently 3 separate registries: the Color Registry, the Solid Registry, and the Long Ear Registry. We welcome all levels of competition within a family-friendly environment. Become a member, register, and add value to your horse. For more information, check out the website pintoworld.com.
Get quality you can stand on. Hoof Grip is the proprietary formula that provides shock absorption for your animals with no ice buildup, slipping, cracking, or sogginess, making it the safest, most comfortable, and maintenance-free flooring on the market. Hoof Grip installs quickly and easily over existing surfaces, is easy to clean, and withstands extreme heat or cold. From vet offices to barns, wash racks to trailers and more. Visit hoofgrip.com to find a dealer in your area today.
We're here for the hardworking, the resilient. We're for the people who measure their days by what needs to get done, not by hours. Where kids learn responsibility at a young age and generations work side by side. Where work doesn't pause for holidays or bad weather. It just gets harder. Where value and hard work means more than the clothes you wear. We're Kleinschmidt's Western Store, Higginsville, Missouri.
It's time to go with United Mosquito and Fly Control's premier fly system for fly control in your barn, providing relief for horses from the stress of fighting flies, and also makes the barn more pleasant for everyone in the barn. Easy, effective, and safe. With United Mosquito and Fly Control, we provide a full service. You as the barn owner don't have to do anything. We go everywhere and take care of everything with our friendly fast service. Call today at 913-558-3814 or email Paul at unitedmosquito.com.
Welcome back to Better Horses. You know, we're going to keep this show going with more professionals coming on board. And Merle, we're going to talk to a guy that I think is going to be very interesting. And he's actually moving top-notch horses into different disciplines. And this is something that's going to be very exciting as we get to know Roger Daly.
Yes, I'm looking forward to this.
You know, and this segment is brought to you by our Kansas State University College of Veterinary Medicines. And I just mentioned it, but Roger Daly Horses, he trains and turns out top-notch horses in both racing and performance horses and events. So he's been doing this for over 40 years. I'm anxious. I'm honored to have him on Better Horses. Roger, welcome to Better Horses Radio.
Well, thank you for having me today, and hopefully I can answer some good questions.
I think for over 40 years, we're going to have struggling just to keep up with you. So you've been breaking and showing colts for a long time. And, I think you've dived into all the industries from reining to cutting to jumping to barrel horses, quarter horses, and thoroughbreds. Let's get right into it. And let's talk about what you've done in the thoroughbred racing industry and how you've kind of moved those horses off the track into something like dressage worlds.
Well, we get some off the track horses. The majority of the thoroughbreds coming off the track are pretty good minded and easily to transition into jumping or dressage, the majority of them. You know, they've been in very consistent training programs with professionals, and most of them don't have any bad habits. The main thing, they got to learn to turn left, turn right, and stop, back up. They've just been in a forward motion deal. So we transition, a handful, a pretty good many of them, straight to the track to other events, and they've done well. So, and then we sell a lot of thoroughbred yearlings at the major auctions that we condition for the sales for about 90 days prior to shipping them or taking them to the auction. So we're pretty diverse in that area, getting the young horses sold also.
I like the idea that you're prepping those horses. So what are the main things that you have to do to prep these horses to getting them ready for the auctions?
Most of the young horses we get in, whether we're going to the quarter horse race sale or the cutting sales or the cow horse sale or the thoroughbred sales, 90 days is pretty ideal to get a yearling ready if they come in in good shape, good flesh. The main thing we do when they get here, get them up to date on vaccinations, feet trimmed, and we have 5 covered round pens. They go to the round pen every day, go on a lead line walker to cool out, but mainly is getting them on a good nutrition deal, good exercise. And the yearlings don't need a ton of exercise like some people think. We want them working hard enough every day that they're laying down in the stall, taking a break, not doing aerobics. They're in the stall doing too many aerobics. You probably need to work them a little harder, but there's a fine line of giving them enough, but not too much as they develop. As they get older, like the 2-year-olds, you can work them a little bit harder, but getting them exercise every day and groom, pick their feet up, make sure you teach them to load in the trailer, get on and off very easily. So when you do go to the show, we might load 40 or 50 of a morning. We don't want any hiccups there. Also, when those new buyers purchase those horses and transport them with a hauler or themselves, we want to make sure they load. The other big part of it is the nutrition, getting them wormed and getting them on full feed. The majority of these race horses are eating 18 pounds of grain a day, primarily Omaline 200. Right. And we top dress with a pound of Amplify, and they're on free choice alfalfa. And you don't really need any supplements, all that pretty well taken care of. And all the feeds that Purina has developed, everything's in there you need. The biggest factor we have is getting some people to feed enough volume. Particularly the race horses need quite a bit more than, say, the cutting performance bred horses. We just had a thoroughbred go to Keeneland, was eating 24 pounds of grain a day, and finally got filled out looking well. So nutrition's a big part of it, quality feed and quality hay and a consistent program.
Well, and Roger, are these client horses that they're sending you to prep, or are these horses you're getting yourself, or how do you come across these horses?
I own one horse. That's all I own. These are all client horses. I have no advertising. I have no social media. I have a phone number. That's all word of mouth over the years from doing it. And I have a very consistent group of clients that keep us pretty busy year round with various horses, halter breaking, sales, breaking, that raise really, really nice horses that we're fortunate to handle. They're quite successful in their careers. So occasionally we have room for new clients, but we sell prep about 325 horses an average a year, and we'll ride somewhere in the neighborhood of 60. And we raise 25 to 30 weanlings for a couple different clients. From weaning time on to sale time, they live here at our place. So, but primarily our horses come in word of mouth, people seeing us at the auctions, and being honest with people, doing a good job, having a really good sale crew on the road to present horses. Our horses in July in Kentucky, of which I sent to Lane's In-Farm to present for us, they were showing over 100 times a day, out, tracked, walked, stood up. Sale day, they were still feeling good and looked good, but you better have them really fit, really on the muscle going to the race sale. Our quarter sales, they don't get out as much, but our good horses might get out tracked 20 or 30 times a day. So you need a really good road crew, and your horse better be pretty physical and carrying good weight. All my business has pretty much been word of mouth over the years, and I've been very fortunate in that area to have great clients with good horses.
You know, I like the idea of what you're doing with the yearlings, but let's talk about those horses that are the 6, 7, 8-year-olds that are coming out and you're transitioning them to other disciplines. Does an age of a horse trigger anything in your head when you're starting to look at them, or is this something you're looking more at the conformation and how they're being raised?
Well, the older horses, you're a little bit behind, or unless they've had some handling. Like we like to start all these horses at 2-year-olds. Like many of the race colts are already being broken right now. Just right after the sales, they start lightly riding them, and they build a lot of bone density and stay sound, probably better than the horses you start later. But you're going easy and starting them. So when you start a horse as early 2-year-old, it's easier to teach them things than say some of these people bring you a 3 or 4-year-old. They're used to being free and doing whatever they want for another extra year or two, developing their own habits. So it's kind of like joining the Army, joining boot it's quite a rude awakening to them. So the sooner you get started on them, the better off. Now we get some older horses from the track that normally is pretty good because, you know, they've been in pretty good programs. And then occasionally they get some horses that just are not going to work out for another discipline. They end up becoming a pasture ornament or going to somebody more professional to do something with. And today's horses are much better minded than horses, say, we had 20 years ago, and appear to be much more attainable or user friendly too, which helps tremendously. If somebody calls me with an 8-year-old that hasn't been started, we used to do that in the early days trying to survive, but today we tell them no, we'll pass on that. And some of them do good, but a lot of them, you wait that long, you're behind, but some of them have made good horses, but it's about a 50-50 deal. You let them get too old to make a good horse in today's competitive world.
I think that's right. They develop bad habits, and you got a lot of work in front of you. If you just joined us, we're talking to Roger Daly at Roger Daly Horses Incorporated. Now, he's an animal nutritionist too, so I like the fact that you really get to feed and get these horses brought up. But Roger, you've been doing this for over 40 years, and it looks like your business model is doing really well. If people had to figure out how to get a hold of you, I like the idea that you're not on social media. So it's programs like Better Horses that flushes you guys out. So there's only one way to get a hold of you, and that's by phone. What's that number?
It's 817-994-9203. And we're in Aubrey, Texas.
You're in Aubrey, Texas. Merle's writing it down. We're both writing it down as hard as we can. So we'll probably be using you. I got to tell you, Roger, as an old partner of mine, Ernie Rodina would say, we need guys like Roger Daly in our industry to help out and do everything they're doing and showing us young bloods exactly the right way to do things. And I can't tell you how much we appreciate what you do with the horse industry.
Well, we're very fortunate, and we need more young people getting into the business. And there doesn't appear to be as many young people because of the work and the commitment you have to make to this. It's your life. Commit to it.
What do you think about the next generation coming up? Do you think they're prepared for it, or do you think they have the appetite for it?
I don't think most of them do. I've got some boys been with me 40 years, 30, 20. My whole crew has been here a long time, but I take very good care of them. Most of them are all Spanish boys because they're very dependable. They like the horses, and they show up for work every day, and they are not on their telephones. And my road crew, one of the girls has worked for me 25 or 6 years and brings a lot of the kids that work the thoroughbred sales to all the quarter sales because there's a lack of help around here to go to the sales, particularly the racehorse sales. They are a little more reactive, and the people with the show horses are not used to handling the young racehorses. So it's a little bit of a different ball game. So getting help, particularly to go on the road and present the horses, is kind of a problem at times, finding enough people qualified.
And keeping them skilled at the same time. So, Roger, I want to thank you for everything you're doing, but more importantly, I want to appreciate you joining us here on Better Horses. And thank you for doing everything you're doing.
Well, thank you for having me.
And that's Roger Daly from Roger Daly Horses Incorporated. He's located in Aubrey, Texas. And if you miss that number, here it goes again. He's not on social media. His number is area code 817-994-9203. And so that is Roger Daly at Roger Daly Horses. Merle, that is something that we really got to flush out. A lot of these talented guys just sitting in the outskirts of Texas and in other states that we need to really get on our program.
Yeah, we do.
And Merle, I can't tell you how much we just appreciate all of our guests coming on board and talking about even things that are not very popular, taboo things such as boarding barns and relationships like that is very important.
This show is like a box of chocolates. Quote Forrest Gump, you never know what you're going to get.
That's exactly right. But above all, we want to thank you, our radio listeners, for taking on this time and listening to us, and appreciate everything you've done on sending in your emails and giving us suggestions on topics. And if you missed any of our shows, you can check us out on our Encore by going into your podcast and typing in Better Horses and listening to all of our episodes.
And don't forget to look for our newspaper coming out 5 times a year. And if you can't find it, hop on our website, send us your address, and we'll be happy to send it right to your mailbox.
Summer edition's out. The fall edition is coming on board. And if you haven't caught us, we're also on television. You can see us on RFD, the Cowboy Channel, streaming on Equus TV, and also check us out on YouTube.
We want to give a special thanks to the team behind the scenes, our radio producer, Brianna Johnson, and our TV producer, Kelly Creech, and of course, all of our wonderful sponsors.
And that wraps it up for this week. Merle, thank you for joining me, and I appreciate that. Hopefully see you next week as we talk more about equine. But above all, we want to thank all of you for being good buckaroos and buckarettes. I want you to mind your mom and dads and be brave, but don't take any chances out there. Until next time, I'm Ed Adams.
And I'm Merle Arbo.
Happy trails, and always ride for the brand.